AITA for kicking my mother out of my wedding after she brought my ex as her plus one. So I never thought I'd be writing this, but here I am, hoping to get some perspective. My wife, June, 29F, and I, 30M, just got back from our honeymoon. It was everything we dreamed of and more, but now we're coming back to reality, and it's rough. I've spent the last few days swimming through an ocean of texts and missed calls, all about this one thing that happened at our wedding. And now I'm sitting here, second-guessing myself, and wondering if I'm really the jerk everyone's making me out to be. So, Reddit, I need your thoughts. AITA? To give some background, I met June about 3 years ago, and she's honestly the best thing that ever happened to me. She's strong, confident, and incredibly loving. But one thing I've always admired about her is that she doesn't take anyone's nonsense. She sets boundaries, and that's something I've struggled with my entire life. It's been a game changer for me to have someone like her by my side, someone who's helped me stand up for myself, especially when it comes to my mom. My mom. Where do I even begin? She's always been overbearing and opinionated, especially about my relationships. It's like she's on some mission to control every aspect of my life. And for the longest time, I let her. I mean, it's hard when you're an only child and your mom makes you feel like her entire world revolves around you. But the real kicker came when I was dating my ex, Margot. Margot and I were together for 5 long, painful years. On the outside, we probably looked like the perfect couple. But behind closed doors, it was toxic. Margot was manipulative, controlling, and always made me feel like everything was my fault. I remember how she used to guilt me into things I wasn't comfortable with, emotionally blackmailing me at every turn. It took a toll on me, but for some reason, my mom adored her. I'm talking full-on Margot is basically the daughter I never had vibes. Maybe it was because Margot never set boundaries and let my mom walk all over her. Who knows? When I finally found the strength to leave Margot, it was brutal. My mom was devastated, acting like she was the one going through the breakup. Meanwhile, I was just trying to breathe again, thanks to the support of my friends and my sister, who saw firsthand how much Margot's manipulation had broken me down. They had my back, but my mom? Not so much. Anyway, fast forward about a year after the breakup and I met June. From the get-go, my mom wasn't having it. I mean, she wasn't rude to June's face, but she made passive-aggressive comments about how Margot was so much better and how she wished I had never left her. It didn't matter that June and I were genuinely happy together or that she helped me become a stronger, healthier version of myself. None of that seemed to register with my mom. She was laser-focused on the idea that I had let go of my perfect soulmate in Margot. Still, when June and I got engaged, my mom didn't lose it like I thought she would. She actually seemed calm, suspiciously calm. I chalked it up to her maybe, just maybe, coming around. People grow, right? I figured she was finally accepting June and our relationship for what it was. The wedding planning went smoothly, and I decided to give both my parents plus ones for the big day. For context, they divorced when I was in college, and while I'm not super close to either of their new spouses, I wanted to be fair. Besides, it was a small, intimate ceremony, just close family and friends, and I didn't want to stir up any drama. On the day of the wedding, everything was perfect. The ceremony was beautiful, and despite a few weird glances from my mom, I thought things were going well. After the ceremony, June and I stepped away to take photos. That's when everything went sideways. As we were heading back to the reception, my sister and June's best friend came running up to us, looking panicked. My heart immediately sank because I knew something was wrong. They didn't even have to say anything before I saw it. Her, Margot, sitting at a table with my mom, my dad, and my dad's wife, acting like she belonged there. I felt like someone had sucker punched me. All the air just left my body. My mom, my own mother, had brought my ex to my wedding. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Who does that? At that moment, I felt every ounce of rage and betrayal bubble to the surface, but somehow, June kept me grounded. I think if it wasn't for her squeezing my hand and telling me to breathe, I would have lost it right then and there. I walked over to my mom and Margot, and my hands were shaking. My voice was calm, but I was furious inside. I pulled my mom aside and asked her, "What the hell is Margot doing here?" My mom didn't even flinch. She had the audacity to tell me that she believed Margot and I were soulmates, and that June was just in the way of true love. She even said that she thought if I saw Margot again, I'd realize what a huge mistake I was making marrying June. I couldn't believe it. It felt like I was in some twisted alternate reality. I didn't want to cause a huge scene, but I wasn't about to let this slide either. I told my mom and Margot they needed to leave immediately. Of course, my mom started pleading and acting like I was the unreasonable one. But I was done. I got my best friends to escort them both out of the reception, and I went back to the party, trying to salvage what was left of the night. June was amazing through it all. She just smiled, told me it was okay, and helped me focus on what really mattered us. After a few minutes, I was able to calm down and enjoy the rest of the evening, surrounded by people who actually cared about us. But now that we're back from the honeymoon, all hell has broken loose. I have a mountain of texts from my family, mostly scolding me for kicking my mom out of her only son's wedding. Some of them think I overreacted, that I should have just ignored Margot and let my mom stay. My dad, in particular, thinks I could have handled it differently, that I should have kicked Margot out and let my mom stay at the reception. But after what she pulled, I couldn't stand the idea of her being there. To me, she wasn't just a bystander. She was actively sabotaging one of the most important days of my life. Now, I'm torn. June and my sister both think I did the right thing, but with all the backlash from the rest of my family, I'm starting to wonder if I overreacted. Could I have handled it differently? Maybe I shouldn't have kicked my mom out. Maybe I should have just dealt with Margot and moved on. But the thing is, my mom brought her. It wasn't like Margot crashed the wedding on her own. My mom knew exactly what she was doing, and that betrayal cuts deep. So here I am, Reddit. Was I the jerk for kicking my mom and my ex out of my wedding? Should I have handled it differently? AITA.